Hey everyone, I'm going to be discussing time and motion study. What is it? Well, time and motion study is the measurement and analysis of the motions involved in a task and the time taken to complete each task. Also, it can be used to set job standards and check and improve efficiency among workers and their task. While time and motion study use the same techniques, there is a difference between time study and motion study because they have different targets. I'll talk about this in the following slides a little bit just to get more information. Time and motion study isn't something that can be purchased because it is an analysis of motions and time to complete a task. It's not a system you can buy and implement into your business. Where it came from. It originated during the scientific management era in the late 19th century because of the industrial engineers Frederick Taylor, Frank Gilbreth, and Lillian Gilbreth. Time study of Taylor and the motion study of Gilbreth were melded together to create what we know as time and motion study. Both of them had these really successful studies, the time study and the motion study, and when you put them together, it became even more successful. Originally, it was started to increase productivity in manufacturing plants, and Frederick Taylor actually saved a steel company about $78,000 a year by designing a more efficient shovel to be used, which I just thought that was very interesting. The purposes of time and motion study include to increase efficiency, which then allows for better productivity through a process of design. This is the main purpose behind time and motion study. Also, it can be used in many different settings, such as factories, offices, and customer service. When it first came about, it was used more in manufacturing settings, like big warehouses, assembly lines, but now we know more and we can do more with it. Some procedures to know, and these are just a couple things to know before completing the study. It includes worker activities, which is study specific work activity and the associated task. So you need to know what task or activity you are specifically looking at trying to improve. You need to know the time frames, whether the study is looking at morning shift, mid shift, or night shift, because those can all be affected in different ways. Also, the units of measurement, which reflects the time it takes to do a task to the number of errors there may be on a spreadsheet, just depending on what you are looking at, what activity or task you're looking at. Also to know the task relationships. This is being aware of how efficiency of one task can affect each other task. So it's like a ripple effect. And then the implementation process, knowing that you have collected the necessary data to implement this to create standards for this company. Now these are more, that's kind of beforehand knowledge, what you need to know. These are the steps you need for performing a time and motion study. So you identify the task or activity being studied, which is kind of what the previous slide is about. You observe the employee performing the job, write down all the important parts for performing the job, which can include all wasteful movements. Then you record time taken for each task being observed. And you take those and you critically examine the data collected and what you know, and you use that to develop the most practical and effective method of change that these companies can use to set their productivity standards. An example that I thought of was how to shorten processing of clothes for a store to increase their productivity. So you would start off observing the process of how long it takes to complete a shipment box of clothes, which can include folding or hanging and putting the security sensors on it. So watching that, you would acknowledge any movements, extra movements, like unfolding to tag the clothes that are not necessary. There's two parts of a sensor, so it's an extra movement getting one part and then getting the second part. So getting those together, that's an extra movement. And separating the clothes by style. So you have your pants in one, your tops in the other, and then further separating by extra small, small, medium, large. This will help having everything together, so it just needs to be processed the rest of the way by hanging or folding. And then time how long it takes to complete the whole process with new implementations. And then if the study is done the way it should be, the organization will know the most efficient way and how many hours it takes to process the clothing sent to the stores that way. This can help by knowing how many hours to give payroll for processing. So say it takes 8 hours to complete the box of stuff, then that's 8 hours of processing the store needs. And this will allow them to track whether it's getting done and whether that needs to change. Some method issues with this, though, include the excessive emphasis on efficiency that the time and motion study is all about, when the purpose is really to increase productivity. They talk about efficiency, going to create more, but it's really, that's used to increase productivity for the organization. And with time study, it is only applicable to jobs that have a start time and an end time to help set production standards. Like some jobs you can't set standards because it doesn't have a start time or an end time, or it's not specific enough to be able to make it more efficient. There are some advantages, though, to time and motion study, which include the increase in efficiency, and which then allows companies to be more profitable. It also allows the standard time found by time study to serve as the basis for a wage payment. Because it is used to increase efficiency, it can also be helpful to assess employee performance to make sure they are meeting their standards. That's kind of like my example about the shipment and processing, knowing how much it takes to get the boxes done. And one thing that doesn't get enough attention when it comes to the time and motion study is safety. Being efficient can save lives, and having set standards allows for better safety. Some disadvantages, though, include the time and money it takes to conduct a time and motion study. The money is important because it's not cheap. You have to train the workers in a new way once the study is complete, and implementing those changes can be a tough task when people are already used to doing their job a certain way. It takes a lot to change a habit. And the possibility of failure. What if you spent all this time doing a time and motion study and it doesn't work out for the organization? So overall, I hope you learned something about time and motion study. I thought it was very interesting.